and changed it so that they wouldn't say the cameras that were lumps. And more embedded. So, my God. Well, this is one of the. Yeah, I'm not checking. It's usually doing this one. Yes, check. Good to see you again. I'm sure it's not your favorite.
I want to know how I can apply for a pension.
My car's signature. But I don't think there is any such thing.
Where we got these 3 cents.
In fact, person.
He was trying to trip us.
Yes, so we talked about Democrats making it was not just. I heard very, you know, it's been like a long, it's fine. It's very. Well, it's another one, I think, it's been good. So that's, it works. Yeah. Election cycle, a couple times a month. Yeah, otherwise, it's gonna be once every month.
Okay. Is it cool?
So, you know, I look at us, and it's like, oh, I do more than yes, for some. It's like, it's a look at that. Rip real work. Very sad, you know, get up, like, trying to do. Bill Ramshelter was, was positive. It's like you're saying, it's always a question. I know. The gentleman said, yeah, got German judges. Now, it's not, make it right past. One of them said, excuse me, sir, do you work for the state? Who wants to one of yours? Okay. Yeah.
We'll go through the cases. Pretty much your lessons for, so it should be.
Of the agenda. Doesn't seem to be anybody considering. What I say, this is what. It's a preliminary use on the actual, so it goes fast. He's, if it looks like, you know, somebody's showing us, he was there. Yeah, it is. It's something. And then we have reconsideration. They may skip those. So here, they have options now because don't know what. Yes. For you, we can take it. I thought about it. We get on their sides. So much defense out. She was involved.
I just don't know how that. So we're just going to in here. Of course, like over now, ready.
Yep, I'm ready.
We will the Ohio Elections Commission to order. And first order of business is the roll call.
Chair, Mr. Lake,
Here.
Ms. Davis,
Here.
Mr. Curtin, Mr. Wilkie. Yes. Mr. Caraway, present. Chair Hagan, I'm sorry for the hesitation, but
Present.
I was trying to figure out what term to use the position, right? Yeah, you sound, well, that's fine. Chair Tavares.
Here.
All members are present with the exception of Mr. Lyle, who had indicated to me He has a case of bronchitis, and will not be attending today, which is why Mr. Polkey is here, as an alternate to replace Mr. Lyle.
Ms. Bricker, do we have this?
I would encourage the excuse of Mr. Lyle for good cause, and we wouldn't want him here when he's not feeling well.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved in second, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the February 2020.
Yep.
2022, 2024. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Same. Thank you. It's been moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. And now we're going to go through the preliminary review, and we're going to take these cases in order. The first one is case number 2024G-001. Mr.
And this is, there's a series of cases that were all filed by the same gentleman, involving essentially the same circumstances. There was a PAC called the Concerned Allied Parents, that was created that participated in a school board election in Allen County. They produced some mailers and produced some signs. And the assertion by the complainant is that these activities should have been reflected as in-kind contributions to the various candidates and from the PAC. They're all filed individually. So I've got them listed, and they were 4 separate complaints. We're dealing with them separately. As it relates to the first complaint, you've heard the explanation of the complaint. The response, when the respondent submitted, you've all received copies of this. She indicated that really, gave a somewhat long history of leading into the efforts that were undertaken during the election. And she indicated that there was a person who had some signs that they also put Concerned Allied Parents on, and that her husband picked up those signs, paid for them at the request of the individual. She said otherwise she didn't work with that person, but considering that the efforts undertaken by her husband to pick them up and to produce them, and put them out and pay for them, I'm thinking that that should have been reflected as an in-kind contribution in her campaign finance report when it was not listed based on her explanation. So my recommendation here in this case is to find a violation, but for good cause, not impose a fine or for the matter for further prosecution. I'll be glad to answer any other questions the commission may have.
Any questions of Mr. Richter?
Madam Chair,
Yes, please.
Mr. Richter, could you go into, obviously, your feeling on fine violation, but not impose a fine? Could you elaborate a little bit on the lack of recommendation?
Based on the explanation that was provided by the treasurer for the committee, had not had any previous activity, political activity, didn't necessarily understand all the filing requirements and what she was required to do, didn't have any previous experience in participating in the election in this way, got guidance from the Board of Elections as it related to setting up the PAC, and then producing reports. Otherwise, filed a report, just left out one element of an expense, which, considering her lack of understanding and involvement in the political arena previously, I can understand why she didn't necessarily appreciate that should have been reflected as an in-kind contribution, in my opinion. And so those were all the factors that I looked into and took into consideration as I made the recommendation.
Okay, and it appears that their response was timely.
Yes.
Other questions? Roger?
I move to accept the recommendation of the executive director.
Thank you very much. Okay. There a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? That has been approved by the
I'll address the next two cases because I believe that the situation and the circumstances are essentially the same. Christoph B. Point is 2024 G002. Christoph B. Burks is 2024 G003. Again, the assertion is that the activities of the concerned live parents should have been reflected as in-kind contributions to the individual candidates. The responses that we received from the individual candidates essentially said they didn't really know what the PAC was doing. They didn't have any other involvement with the PAC, that they didn't provide any information to the PAC that allowed for them to work together with the PAC. And so under that set of circumstances and based on their responses, I believe that there's been no violation and that they should not have been obligated to file or include the expenses of the PAC as an in-kind because they didn't otherwise work with PAC. So I'm glad to answer the question the commission may have.
Are there questions of the executive director? No questions? Is there a motion?
I'm trying to give the recommendation of the executive director.
Okay, is there, thank you very much. There's been properly moved and second. All in favor, and we're doing the Christoph B. Point 2024 G-002. Any other comments before we take the vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That by a vote of 7-0. And then this next one is Christoph versus Burks. That's 2024 G-003. Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Thank you very much.
Sure, organization.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's been approved by a vote of 7-0. The next one is case number 2024 G-004. Mr. Executive Director.
This is the case of Christoph Peters. Again, the circumstances are the same as the previous three cases. Right at the moment, my recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $100 because there was no response submitted to the upon which I could make a different recommendation to the commission. Mr. Peters is here, and if Mr. Peters would like to address the commission briefly as it relates to his case and potentially answer some questions concerning this, my recommendation may change.
Good morning.
We do need to be sworn. Say you just swear.
Oh.
Do you swear from the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr.
Did you say you did not receive a response?
I did not receive a response in your case. No, there was,
I had a receipt. I sent a certified letter that was signed by you.
oh, it's certainly possible. And
Would you like to
read?
Would you like to read it here?
I had the responses from the other gentleman and I didn't see one from.
Sorry, would you like to read it? Do you want me to read it to you guys?
If you want to go ahead and just make a statement now that you're
Yeah.
here, please feel free.
Sorry about that.
No,
I just got it in the mail last week saying that the return letter from the post office saying that you received it. So I'll just read you what I had written him. This is the first time I have ran for an elected position. In so doing, I consulted the local board of elections. They guided me through the process. If I did make any mistakes, they were not intended, knowing I followed all the guidance given to me. Please offer any guidance for future campaigns if you find anything that was not properly done or filed. And I also sent all the evidence of my contributions received and my expenses. Response to complaint number 1, Christoph accused me of not reporting in-kind contributions received from the group concerned Elida parents. This included 2 banners displayed at 4561 Elida Road and billboard displayed on Easttown Road. Christoph's accusation included these to have greater value than $100 for my campaign. These signs Christoph referenced were never donated to me as a candidate or my campaign. I did not approve any of the signage that included the 3 individuals running for school board. To my knowledge, the banners displayed on Elida Road was purchased and placed solely by a concerned Elida parents group. Furthermore, I have no knowledge of who purchased the billboard on Easttown Road. The billboard was digital, and due to being pixelated, the print of who paid for the billboard was not very legible. in response to complaint number 2. Basically the same as stated above. This does not apply knowing I did not receive any in-kind contributions of any kind during my campaign. Please see the documentation provided with this letter for all contributions received and receipts for signs and flyers purchased. Please note that all donations were $100 or less according to the local candidate waiver, and total contributions and receipts did not exceed $2,000. And I do have a copy of everything that was sent to you. If you would like to view my receipts and campaign contributions. My,
No, haven't heard this statement on my recommendation. It would be to find no violation. Excuse me.
Yes,
Sir, did you say that you submitted your response via certified mail
yes,
and that you received the return receipt?
yes, sir.
Do you have a copy of that receipt?
I did not bring it with me. I left it in my car. I'm sorry.
That's fine. No problem. Could you email that?
Yes, good.
I'd just like to be able to,
Yeah.
yeah. Mr. Richter, if you could circulate that. Sure. Send that in if you would.
Yeah, good.
thank you, Mr. Peters.
Thank you.
And the recommendation again.
Find no violation.
Madam Chair, I move to move the recommendation of the executive director and also just thank you for your time and your submission and you testified to that.
Thank you. We appreciate it. I second that.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's been properly approved by a vote of 7-0. Next case is case number 2023-041, Grace versus Carter. Executive Director.
This case was originally before the commission in, I believe it was early February, and we did not have good service on the respondent, so I continued it. It turned out that the complainant in this matter did not give us the proper address, so we then resent to an updated address for Mr. Carter, which we received. In the intervening period, we also got complaint number 2024-R-014. That was filed by the Hamilton County Board of Elections against Mr. Carter for essentially the same set of circumstances. A failure to originally file a designation of treasurer. In the intervening period, he did file a designation of treasurer. He did file his campaign finance report, but not until the due date for filing. And so the candidate has now, the respondent candidate submitted a response. You see my synopsis of it. You've all been provided with a copy. Said he misunderstood the filing requirements, thought they do not spend over a certain amount of designation were required. Anyway, my recommendation on this case is to consolidate case number 2023-G041 with 2024-R-014, find a violation and impose a fine of $50. I'll be glad to answer any of the questions the commission may have.
Any questions of the Executive Director?
Madam Chair, I move to move the recommendation of the executive director.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Been approved by a vote of 7-0. The next case is 2024-G-005, Birkin versus Sonnenberg et al.
I don't know. Well, I know Mr. Kirchner was not involved in the previous case involving Mr. Sonnenberg, where we found a violation of the $100 fine that was referenced in the response to Mr. Sonnenberg that was submitted, where there were certain expenditures that he made improperly out of his campaign account. And it was a complaint that asserted that a variety of them included therein. This was a complaint that was submitted to us where the complainant asserted that there was an additional complaint for like $150. The response that was submitted by Mr. Sonnenberg indicated, I think it was acknowledged that this was reconciled with the prior case and with the activities undertaken under this previous set of circumstances. So my recommendation here is to find the violation.
Any questions of the Executive Director?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. So I vaguely remember
this issue, I think maybe December or January.
I think it was in January.
Okay. What was it? January. Oh, January 18th. So we had some lengthy discussion with both the respondent and plaintiff on this matter. Was the tire repair, was it a part of the original complaint that we have already found the committee to be in violation?
I don't, based on the complaint that was submitted, I don't know that it was specifically identified in that complaint. But it was, but he, according to the response, he did resolve it with the efforts that he undertook to resolve those outstanding matters. So not originally part of that complaint, but dealt with in the prior, dealt with at the same time that he, that what took place, the circumstances of the prior complaint was dealt with at that time. But Stevie,
And wasn't it a refund?
well, he had used his campaign committee to pay for certain things that should have been personal expenses. It was, I can't remember exactly how, I think it was the original case that identified them all. And then when he took care of refunding those matters to his campaign committee, his response at least says, and I believe that was confirmed, that he paid back that amount along with the other amounts to his campaign committee when he dealt with it previously.
Okay. So while not specifically a part of the previous complaint, it was rectified with his work at the Board of Elections, because I'm assuming those were all on the same report.
Yes.
Okay.
You have stated that better than I just did, I think.
It's a little bit of like mine was words out
Yeah.
too, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other questions of the executive director? Is there a motion?
Move we accept the recommendation of the executive director.
Second. It's been moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's been approved by a vote of 7-0. Next case is Harwell versus Perlis. It's 2024 G-009. Will Street Executive Director.
Similar to the other cases that we have on the agenda today, just the complaint asserts of the respondent who was the treasurer for the campaign committee filing completely inaccurate campaign finance reports. My recommendation is to set the matter for a hearing. I was inclined to try and have it go forward today, but Ms. Barwell is not present. And so, you know, my recommendation is set the matter for hearing.
Recommended for the hearing.
No, not at this point. I want to work with Ms. Barwell, mainly because I have a feeling she's going to want to have a identified as what amount could be identified as her campaign account amount. And I reached out to her yesterday and left a message for her on her voicemail and did not get a call back. So without that kind of information, I don't want to further go forward on this, aside from setting the matter for hearing.
And so we need a motion.
Yes.
Is there a motion to set this case number 2024 G-009 for hearing?
So.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor? Say aye. All opposed? Okay, we approve that by a vote of 7-0. Next, we're going to go to group recommendations.
Yeah, well, let's take care of Mr. Denver.
No, that's right. We're on page 5, case number 20, on continued for service. This is Densmore et al. In the cases 2024 R-013. So Richard?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, this is a referral from the Hamilton County Board of Elections for late filing of the post-election, or actually the pre-election. Oh, no, the late filing of the designation of treasurer that was filed on October 26th and due earlier than that, by October 1. It's on the continued list because we did not have good service on the respondent that was reflected through a green card. And so, but Mr. Densmore's here, he can be sworn, make a statement to the commission, I can change my recommendation.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Densmore.
All right, so I have a what is it, notarized letter that I did write up, just didn't get to you guys, and I have the original here, and I'll read from it, and then I can submit it to you.
You can leave that with us.
My name is Stephen Densmore. This past year, I ran for mayor in the village of Gulf Manor, Ohio. When I turned in my pre-election campaign finance report, I was informed that it looked like I did not file a designation of treasurer. I therefore on site upon this notification completed and filed a designation of treasurer. In the past, I have filed paperwork designating myself as treasurer on the same day I picked up my candidate paperwork. I do not have a receipt or verification that I did officially designate myself as treasurer prior to any purchases made toward my 2023 campaign. I spent money on flyers, postcards, and business cards, as well as yard signs, as reflected in my pre-election campaign spending report, which was filed on time. The total of that spending was $1,457.22. In your consideration of response to the situation, I ask that you take note that the monthly salary for the position of mayor on our village is approximately $400 per month. It was not my intent to do anything incorrectly. I don't remember doing anything different than what is required. Thank you for considering these statements in your deliberation.
Mr. Executive Director, do you have a recommendation?
Based on his presence and the statement made to the commission, the fact that the report was filed, the designation was filed, my recommendation would be to find the violation, but for good cause, not impose a fine, which will matter for the prosecution.
Is there a motion?
So.
Second. So moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? We have approved that by a vote of 7-0. Thank you very much for coming in, Mr. Densmore.
You can hit Chris.
Okay, we're gonna go back to the top.
I'd say let's go to the hearings. Since we have. Don't participate in this. I don't say that long, but
Okay, we're on page 8.
we're in 8.
And the first one is Robertson versus Curlis, 2023G-010.
Yeah, I will at least briefly address all three cases that we have set for hearing as the essential facts are the same. The candidate for each of the campaign committees has been misappropriated, please move them around to the detriment of the respective complainants and their campaign committees. Robertson versus Gross was for the campaign committee for the current, well, who was then Franklin County engineer. Mr. O'Brien was at one point Franklin County prosecutor. And then Ms. Coonsey is state senator from the west side of Franklin County. They're all here in Franklin County. Various amounts of information have been submitted to the commission. Normally, as I indicated to all of you yesterday, normally I don't make recommendations in hearings. However, these are interesting cases, different kind of cases. And so I'm making recommendations here only because of the interesting circumstances and the fact that Mr. Curlis is not present, and I've been given every indication that he would not be present at today's hearing or any time we take these under consideration. My understanding is there is an ongoing federal investigation that more likely will lead to prosecution. And the individual that represents Mr. Curlis in those cases has indicated he is working with the federal prosecutors in an effort to reach a mutual resolution of those matters, but that he was not going to put his client before this commission if we had any further jeopardy as it relates to all of the ongoing investigations. Each one of these cases is a little bit different because the amount of money that was essentially improperly taken or distributed elsewise is different. Taking up the case of Robinson v. Curlis, my recommendation here is find violation, and refer the matter, for further prosecution in the office of Franklin County Prosecutor, as always responded. But then to also go forward and declare the balance of the campaign account as of December 31, 2023 is $39,371.06. This gives the respondent the opportunity, or the complainant, I should say, the opportunity to be able to go forward with something on a clean slate as it relates to their campaign finance reporting. I talked to Mr. Sewell over the last couple of days. He provided that amount to the so that the commission could declare that. We may be going forward a little quicker than Mr. Sewell was anticipating. He might be here today, but I think he's present right at the moment. But I don't see any detriment going forward at this time. I'll be glad to answer any other questions the commission may have.
Are there any questions, Mr. Richter?
One,
Yes.
here's firstly, that, the 39,371.06 was provided by Mr. Hurlis.
No, but if I said Curls, I apologize. Mr. Sewell, who was the
So you may
attorney,
have said that, and I just
yeah,
heard.
who was the attorney for Mr. Robert.
Okay.
Any other questions of the executive director?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Richter is, as far as any kind of restitution, I understand that's not referred to necessarily this commission. But, you know, as far as referring this matter over for prosecution, that would perhaps allow there to be some work to be done to try to get back the missing funds into those campaign accounts. If they're,
I guess that's a possibility. I am not in any conversation with the federal prosecutor as it relates to these matters all along. You know, in the second, I'll call up another case, and Mr. Bry is here on behalf of Senator Cooney. He may be able to address that. I think that would certainly be beneficial. But considering the amounts that I've heard that may be outstanding as it relates to all the potential various members here, the likelihood of that is being considered not very likely, let's put it that way.
that's a shame. And Madam Chair, if I can just say for the record, you know, political candidates oftentimes trust their treasurer, put a great deal of trust and confidence in them. And this is really sad that someone that was respected in campaign finance and this line of work that has duped these candidates. And so I just want to state that for the record that I agree with the recommendation of Mr. Richter.
Yeah. And I will state too, one additional thing, which is, and I've said this on a variety of levels, back to the respective council that are involved in these matters and the various other people. You know, I feel like this commission has an important role in this whole process. In assuring that campaign finance filings are made. But and accurate, correct, yes. An excellent point right there. But as the commission goes about enforcing these statutes and possibility of referring matters like this to prosecution, they are essentially only misdemeanor violations when it comes right down to it. And considering the amount of money that is presumably involved in all of these matters, and they're here and other things on a much more broad sense, the criminal violations that this respondent is facing through either the federal prosecutor or potentially the Franklin County prosecutor are much greater than misdemeanor violations that we will be finding here, or that we are referring along to the Franklin County prosecutor for potential action.
Any other questions? Yes, please.
Is there anything that prevents us from imposing a fine and referring to prosecution?
It's an either or proposition.
Really?
Yeah, the statute says the commission shall do one of the following. After it finds a violation, impose a fine, refer for prosecution, or find that there's good cause present not to do either of those things.
Fair enough. Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
Madam Chair, I will move that we accept the recommendation of the executive director on 2023-010.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's been approved by a vote of 7-0 to refer. The next case is 2020.
I'll interrupt you just a
Yeah.
second. Let's take 2023 G016 next.
Okay. Cozy at all.
St. Ursula's list. I don't need to go through the whole explanation at this point any further. Mr. Fry is here on behalf of Lindsay. And again, he has submitted an affidavit that identifies a certain amount. The date, he can express, he can explain the date at which they would like it declared to as of a particular date. I have incorrectly listed information I got from him previously. But my recommendation is to find violation for prosecution again, and also declare the balance in the campaign account as $49,760.51. Certainly the commission can hear from Mr. Fry further as it relates to this matter.
Mr. Bryan.
May it please the commission, obviously I encourage you to accept the recommendation of your counsel as to the referral. You can't get blood from a turnip. You know, it is I think the way most of the complainants on these three cases are looking at it. Who knows where the money came from? Perhaps the prosecutor will be able to do something about that. But right now, this is pretty much what you can do. And we also are asking the commission to declare a balance as of February 28 of $49,763.51. There was a typo in the affidavit that we filed, which suggests that was the amount as of March 28, which of course is a week from now. And that was my fault. The treasurer, Natalie Bauer, can testify. Actually, that should have been February 28. If do you want to swear and just say that it should have been February?
Yes, it should have been February 28th.
So that's what we would ask you to do. That way, in our next filing, we can start with an accurate balance and tell the public exactly what is in the account and what has happened since then. I don't have anything more to add. I think Phil's pretty much laid it out. There has been, in fact, a stipulation that had been filed saying that the Ohio Elections Commission has jurisdiction, that the complaint establishes personal knowledge, and there's probable cause of a violation. That was filed in September of last year by counsel for opposing party. And there has been no answer. And as you know, when there's no answer, the commission's rules say it can deem the allegations, the complaint to be admitted and take action. So what you did in the last case and what hopefully you'll do in this one should come up with that. So we would ask that you accept the recommendation to refer for criminal prosecution and declare the amount set forth in the recommendation as of February 28, 2024.
Is there a motion?
Okay.
Moved, properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's been approved by a vote of 7-0. Thank you very much. And now we'll go back to, yes.
Simple question.
Yes.
So on the last motion we made, it's the recommendation, the recommendation of March 21st. It should be shown.
And we've got that correct for the record, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was stated by here. So Brian, your case is up.
Thank you.
I see Mr. Sulis is here now. We'll probably give you an opportunity. We've already addressed your case, but we'll give you an opportunity to briefly address the commission after we get done here.
Well, when the commission obviously is aware, I think, of this circumstance from a case involving Senator Kunze. I'm in a similar situation. Mr. Curlis was my treasurer for actually 35 years, and I did not have issues, questions, problems, or concerns during that time until recently when I discovered that he had been not accurately reporting the.
I'm going to stop you, actually. You need to be sworn because you're the complainant in this case.
That's right. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
The truth. That's true.
I do.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I didn't incorporate by reference what I previously said and not bore the commission by repeating it. But Mr. Curlis, I found after actually the county engineer discovered after a bounce check that the account at the bank did not match the reports he was filing with the Board of Elections. And so since Mr. Curlis had been my treasurer for so long, I did a similar check and found that he had not been accurately reporting the balances, cash forward, expenditures, as well as the contributions. There was no inaccuracy, at least when I filed the complaint, when I issued the subpoena to the bank, that two then had been uncooperative. I found that there were contributions from other candidates, and he essentially was robbing Peter to pay Paul, and then Peter ran out of money. And so that's what happened. And so unless the commission members have any questions, I think it's proper. I did talk to this lawyer on the criminal investigation that's pending, and he said in light of the criminal investigation pending, he would not be here today, and that's understandable. But I think I would ask the commission to refer it for criminal prosecution, and both he and his lawyer can deal with it in that manner. And at least I did indicate to Mr. Richter that I did drain my committee down to zero and closed it at the bank. So I don't need, I think, the commission to authorize a dollar amount for going forward.
Yeah, my recommendation is to find violation of the Brady matter. Between Brady County prosecutor.
Okay, unless there are any questions, thank you for your time. And thank you for taking us out of order on the agenda.
Well, we'll need a motion.
Motion, yes, a motion to accept the recommendation. It's been moved, it's been properly seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? It has been approved by a vote of 7-0. Okay.
I'll offer an apology, but we just kind of got going and got moving along, and so.
No,
we've already
my
addressed-
apologies.
That's okay. We've already addressed your case and made the finding and approved the balance that you provided to me yesterday. But I think it's fair to go ahead and give you an opportunity to at least briefly address the commission as it relates to this matter, if there's anything else you want to add.
I appreciate that, and I will keep it brief. My name is Nick Soulis. I represent the campaign committee, Cornell Robertson for county engineer. We discovered this matter, as Mr. O'Brien had pointed out, when we found our accounts overdrawn that were managed by Mr. Curlis. I think you are all aware of the facts. We submitted a couple of affidavits demonstrating the inaccuracies of the reports that Mr. Curlis was filing. We have counted approximately 35 instances of material misrepresentations. $120,000 contribution that was supposed to have been made from one committee to ours legitimately from the Dean Ringel for county engineer. That was never made. $50,000 contributions to other candidates. And they weren't contributions, as Mr. O'Brien pointed out. They were just robbing Peter to pay Paul a shell game. And when the money ran out, it all came crashing down. I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't want to belabor the point, and I certainly appreciate the consideration that this commission has given this matter. Everything done?
Yep.
Thank you very much. You all have a great day. Thank you.
Page 7, we're going to go to Ford versus Smith. That's case number 2022G-024.
Madam Chair, I didn't know today was Groundhog Day.
Yeah, we can still do it all over.
Hey, I prepped all you guys in advance and said, be prepared to maneuver around on this because we had so many different things going on. Madam Chair, members of the commission, this is the case of Ford v. Smith. At the last commission meeting, I outlined the essential circumstances of this case when the commission made a finding against Mr. Smith. Discovered later on that he had reached out asking for when the matter would be heard. It was an email to me that I missed. So we went forward. He was not present. Subsequently, he asked to be present to be able to address my opinion. I set this matter before the commission at his request at the end of February. The commission took the matter up on that day. In the intervening period, he had submitted a written response in which he essentially denied the allegations. The commission at that time decided to, Mr. Smith had indicated he was not. The commission at that point continued to a later date, give Mr. Smith one more opportunity, I guess you could say, to appear before the commission and do more than simply submit his written response to the commission. We originally had it scheduled for the 7th meeting. It was essentially the only thing on that agenda, so we continued into today's meeting since he had indicated he was not going to attend again. I then sent for today's meeting, I sent out notice to Mr. Ford and Mr. Smith indicating they continue it further. And so here we are today. Mr. Smith has repeated that he was not planning on attending. He is not here. Mr. Ford is here if the commission would like to hear from him any further. But essentially, we've already made a decision. We are giving Mr. Smith the opportunity to present more than just his written statement. I'm not sure what else to say. I don't want to either say I'm defending Mr. Smith or speaking for him or against him. This is the circumstances that we have before us. And so the matter is here for reconsideration based on his request. And you have his response that he submitted. And the commission did make the findings that it did in August of 2023. I'm not sure I can answer any more questions, but that's the circumstance. Like I said, Mr. Ford is present in here.
Are there any questions of Mr. Richter? Do you want to hear from Mr. Ford or do you want to?
I think we need to.
We don't need to.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion?
So,
Second.
there we go.
It's been moved and properly second to deny the request for reconsideration. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It has been approved by a vote of 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Ford. Okay, now we go back to the agenda. Is there anybody else?
Well, the only other thing we have is the reconsideration that Mr. Stewart is involved with. But at this point, we're waiting for, I don't know whether it's here, it's close to 11 o'clock, but we're waiting for Mr. Stafford. So I guess we can go ahead and start going through the groups.
Okay.
Until he makes his business.
All right, so we're going to go to group recommendations. The first section is withdrawn by the Board of Elections. Mr. Richter, do you want to share anything?
These are two matters in which there's after the referral was received, the Board of Elections reached back out to us and said, please review these. Either they had bad information or they acted on something that was not considered. I'm not sure, but they acknowledged that the reports that they were referred for had actually been filed and were timely. And so all we need to do is call them up here and acknowledge that the board has withdrawn them, because the Board of Elections or any referral can be withdrawn from the commission's consideration up until the time the commission takes it under consideration for the first time. And that's what happened here. So these matters are withdrawn.
And those are cases 2024 R-025 and 2024 R-058.
Yep.
And those are withdrawn.
Correct.
The next one is declare the committee terminated and dismiss the complaint. That's 2024 R-015. Mr. Richter.
This is a matter which the Montgomery County Board of Elections reached out to me to say that this is a committee that has not filed reports with them in an extended period of time, let's put it that way. And they weren't sure how best to deal with this. It reflects failure to file a series of annual reports. Back to 2016 was the last report. They have repeatedly sent out notice to the treasurer, to the committee, and phone, email, mail contact. Never been able to get in touch with the PAC. When they reach out by phone, it indicates it's not a working number anymore. And all the mail has been sent back to them as being undeliverable. And so their request was, could we declare this committee terminated? I indicated the best approach was to file a referral with us and give us the opportunity to then declare the committee terminated and just go ahead and dismiss the complaint. So that's my recommendation based on my discussion with the Board of Elections.
Are there any questions of the executive director? Is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been properly moved. Second.
Second.
Okay.
Jill Purdy.
Okay, it's been properly second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We have declared that the committee is terminated and dismissed the complaint. The next group of cases are for good cause. Those cases are all 2024 R-003, 005, 008, 009, 010, 011, 017, 037, 059, 062, 064, 068, and 069. Mr. Ricker.
These are all referrals from various county board of elections, primarily Hamilton and Cuyahoga. I see Marion as well, where the report was filed, but it was late, but it was filed within about a week to 10 days of the due date for the filing. Pretty much, I don't know if they all are, but they're pretty much all post-election reports that will do to be filed around on December 15th. And were filed at some point, generally speaking, the week thereafter. Response has been submitted to the commission, giving an explanation on all these matters. And so my recommendation is to find a violation, but for good cause not to explain or for the prosecution.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the executive director?
Commissioner Sumner.
It's been properly moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? It's been approved by a vote of 7-0. The next is two cases, 2024 R-060 and 061. These are to consolidate cases, find the violation, and for good cause, do not impose a fine or refer the matter for further prosecution. Mr. Ricker.
These, while they're separate cases with us, this essentially deals with a single campaign committee that was for the two candidates. And the report was filed, it was approximately a week late. And so that these are different from the previous ones we handled only because it's the same campaign committee with their two different candidates involved. And so rather than just deal with them individually, I thought it appropriate to consolidate these two matters since it is the same campaign committee. So my recommendation is that it says consolidate the cases, find a violation, for good cause, not impose a fine or for matter for prosecution.
Are there any questions of the executive director? If not, is there a motion? So moved. It's been properly moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. It's been opposed. It's been approved by a vote of 7-0. Okay, the next are $50 fine category. The first, I think, all of these are yes.
Yes.
All of them are 2024 R-060 First one is 06. Oh, we already did that. 004, 012, 022, 026, 030, 033, 036, 042, 044, 045, 048, 057, and 070. Mr. Richter.
Generally, these are all matters where, the report was filed, but it was beyond a week to 2 weeks late. A response was submitted to the commission that gave an explanation of facts and circumstances of the case. And so my recommendation is to find a violation, impose a fine of $50. I've gone through the explanation as to why I'm imposing a fine previously, so I don't know that I need to do that again. The one case that I would call out, it's, I guess I'm taking into consideration the previous fine payments of the respondent, and commission can certainly, I'm comfortable with the recommendation, but case number 2024 R-070, where there's been a number of violations over the last few years by that campaign committee. Commissions imposed fines, even backing them. The last case was 2023 R-316, which would impose a $50 fine because he used cash in a manner that was inappropriate.
He was just here, right? Was he? Was he? He was just here.
Wait.
No, we dealt with that earlier.
Sorry.
He's at least been prompt in paying all of his fines. And so I'm kind of taking that into consideration as I make my recommendation here. And so I just wanted to point that out to you because it's a bit of an outlier as it relates to my recommendation generally. So anyway, I'll be glad to answer the questions you may have. I mean, you've heard where I'm coming from as it relates to the case. Other than that, all of them are pretty straightforward, I think. Late filings, generally beyond a week, 2 week, or generally beyond a week, 10 days, 2 week period.
Mr. Richter, are there any questions of the executive director before I ask? Yes.
I do have a question. Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Richter, in the case specific to 070, because this is something that has happened multiple times, and I understand that he is paying on time, but I guess my question is, suppose this was a different scenario and he had a fine 2 years ago. Is there not a buildup, the fact that he pays on time? We really want him just to comply. So I don't necessarily agree with another $50 fine.
And I understand that. I talked to Mr. Hardy yesterday and I said, here's my recommendation, because he was asking whether he should attend the meeting and all that kind of stuff. But I said, generally, looking at the broadest sense of general, you go along with the recommendation, et cetera. I said, it's just possible that, a different fine amount could be suggested or imposed by the commission. Whether you attend or not is, a choice that he had to make. And I hear your question. It's, part of it is, it's certainly, I couldn't have consolidated the prior case with this one just because of, this wasn't filed until 2024, whereas that one was dealt with in November of 2023. It was kind of in the same circumstances, but, would I make, or could I make a different recommendation on it? Yeah, I could, and I probably have in the past, but we've already dinged him for $200 and he paid him, and hopefully he gets a message here. I the best explanation I can of what I'm going through as I make this recommendation. It may not influence you, and I certainly understand that, but that's the best explanation I've got.
I just really find myself torn because if we want them to comply, of course we don't want to take the money either, but obviously he's not able to comply, or he has chosen not to comply.
But he did file his report.
Right.
And it was a week late. I mean, your scenario is reasonable, in terms of, would it be a different fine amount, had it occurred at a different time period? At the same point, we just talked about all the ones where, the reports were filed within a week.
Mhm.
And we good caused them. So we did file it within a week of the filing deadline, but yeah, it's another late filing, so, just trying to balance all those things. Is kind of where I was coming from on this. And like I said, I'm comfortable with my recommendation, but I'm certainly not gonna try and dissuade you from what you're thinking or feeling or the approach that you want to take.
And I don't disagree with you, when you put everything in context, because it is only a week. I don't know what the balance is, for anyone, not just his case specifically, but anyone.
I'm sure if I could.
Yes,
Just so I understand, is the maximum possible fine $700? $100 a day?
$100 a day for 7 days, correct?
other questions?
Madam Chair, if I could ask a question of Commissioner Davis, Commissioner, do you have a dollar amount in mind?
Well, she asked me that.
But I agree with you. I do feel it should be escalated. This is a repeat, repeat offender, so to speak. This commission has had to spend, and we appreciate him being responsive, whenever he was here last, but I just wonder what.
And what did he pay the last time? Was it a $50?
Was it I think it was $200.
What, the last one?
Yeah.
No, it's $50.
Oh, $50,
Last
okay.
one, that, and that was because it was he used his cash and problem. My recollection is he took cash out of his campaign, he got to hand it available.
Went to the ATM.
Yeah, exactly. And you just shouldn't do that.
Right.
That comes right down to it. And so that's why why I did only $50 for that as opposed to continue to bump that one up.
Mhm.
Is because it was a little bit out of the ordinary than just kind of standard late filing.
Was there one prior?
No, there was two priors. Yeah. Two priors to that one. And we went $50 and $100 on those, and then this one came up, and now we're back again. So, I am certainly understanding of the commission's
So for the late filing,
opinion on this.
it's been a 50, then 100. This
Correct.
third one in November was actually because of the cash situation.
Correct.
The late filing.
Correct.
I mean, I'm going to suggest a fine of $150.
Is there a second?
Well, wait a minute, we've got the other ones before us. Let's just take that out. Let's just take that one
Okay.
out of,
Then we'll remove
consideration.
case number 2024 R-070 from the group consideration of $50 fine. Is there a motion to remove that one?
So moved.
Okay.
Removed. Is there a second? All in favor? Okay, so that one has been removed by a vote of 7-0. So we can go back and take the $50 fine category. All of the other cases that were mentioned before, I don't have to go through again. Okay, great. So is there a motion to approve the $50 fine for the cases listed?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and properly second. Yes.
What are we at now? Where are
We removed case number 2024 R-070.
Okay, so that, I thought we were approving the whole set for the prior
No.
motion. That was to remove it. Now this is to do the other
Correct.
set. Got it. Thank you.
You are quite welcome. Is there a motion to approve? There was a
So moved.
motion to approve in second. And all in favor? Opposed? That has been approved by a vote of 7-0. Now we can take up the Hardy case, and that's 2024 R-070. There is a motion.
Madam Chair, a motion to elevate the fine to $150 in this case.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, so it's 6-0. 6-1. I'm sorry, 6-1. I'm sorry.
I've been told to 0 before. It'll be the first time and it won't be the last.
Oh, no. So the next two cases, 2023 G 041 and 2024 R-014. Those have already been considered, so we can move on.
Okay, do one, two, then go and do the reconsiderations for Stuart to discussion. Where it is now.
Yes.
Madam Chair, will there be, commission, is my presence needed? Or what after?
Want to go through some, well, show it takes too long.
Yeah, why don't we just show them through the.
Yeah.
If I take the part.
Well, why don't you just go ahead and do it real quick? I was thinking,
Do it real quick.
why don't you go ahead and do it real quick?
Okay, so we're going to go to the next case, which is 2024 R-066. And that's to consolidate with case number 2023 R-578, find a violation and impose a fine of $50. This is says Glendale or Hop case.
Right. Madam Chair, members of the commission, made a previous referral for failing or for a late filing of the 2023 pre-general. This was for the post-general. The report was 5 days late, but the prior matter, I don't remember. I could go back and look at how late it was, but my recollection it was fairly timely. But because there are two outstanding matters, I'm recommending that we consolidate these two matters, find a violation and impose a fine of $50.
Are there any questions of the executive director? Is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been properly moved. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That's been approved by a vote of 7-0. The next case is, the cases are for the $100 fine, and those are cases 2024 R. First one is 001, 006, 021, 027, and 067. Mr. Rick.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, these are all matters where the report was filed, it was late, and no response was submitted to the commission to give an explanation of the fact and circumstances of why the report was not timely filed. So my recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $100.
Are there any questions of the executive director? Is there a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's been approved by a vote of 7-0. The next case is 2024 R-023. This is a $25 a day fine with reconsideration option. Mr. Richter.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, this is a case where we have gotten certified mail service and responded. The report has not been filed. And so it's for the late file, or it's for the failure to file the 2023 post-general report. So my recommendation is to find a violation, impose a fine of $25 per day until such time as the report is filed, but give the respondent the opportunity to have the matter reconsidered if they file the report and submit a response, reconsideration request to the commission.
Any questions of the executive director? There a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Been moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? It's been approved by a vote of 7-0. The next two cases, 2024 R-032 and 2024 R-049. These are to continue upon the request of the Board of Elections. And we don't have to take a
No,
vote.
I have the ability to continue these matters. but-
All right, those are continued. These are, the next cases are all continued for service. All, I believe, yes, all our cases 2024 are 002, 007, 013, 016, 018, 019, 020, 024, 028, 029, 031, 034, 035, 038, 039, 040, 041, 043, 046, 047, 050, 051, 052, 053, 054, 055, 056, 063, 065, and 071. These are all continued for service.
Correct. Nope, that is sufficient.
We are continuing those for service. And now we are moving on to our last case.
The last matters for consideration by the commission are the requests for reconsideration that was submitted by the respondent, Mr. Stewart, in the cases of Hickson and Stewart. Mr. Caraway, you're going to recuse yourself in consideration of these matters. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Uh,
Fairway. Now
and-
for this, another committee.
Mr. Stoutburn, will be in place of Mr. Caraway, who was recusing himself. There are two cases, they've been consolidated. The complainant asserts the respondent essentially did not provide complete information on the finance reports. Involving, I think, the primary election in the election in 2020. These matters have been pending for a while, obviously. The commission in two different sessions voted to set the matters for a more full and complete hearing. And we've been waiting, I've been waiting to set those matters for hearing until after the commission resolved first the Friedman matter and then the Schmidt matter, which has been recently resolved. And so now we have this case coming back up. Before we set it for hearing, though, I thought it appropriate for the commission to address the request for reconsideration that had been submitted by Mr. Stewart. And so that's why we're here today, is only to address the reconsideration motion. Mr. Stewart is here. Mr. Hicks is not. He informed me late last evening that he would not be attending. He indicated in his, well, if I can read the email to you, I'll put it on the record. It's fine. He said, and he has submitted a response to the motion to reconsider, which I have in my hand here, and actually I should probably, yeah. One for you, Madam Chair, and two for the members there. And what I have just given to you, though, is just the response. There are exhibits that were attached to it as well. The response is about 7 pages long. The exhibits were like 16 or 17 pages. I have them here. If people want to see the exhibits, I don't know. But anyway, the email from Mr. Hicks last night just says, looking at the law here, I think granting the reconsideration motion going on 2 years after a finding that is really administrative scheduling and not a judgment decision of order would be appropriate for a revised code section 2506 appeal. I do not believe that any of this is proper and have decided to save my day and the cost of driving to the airport tomorrow. He anticipates watching online. I don't know whether he's online or not. The team session right at the moment. But you now have Mr. Hicks's response. You have been previously supplied Mr. Stewart's request. Mr. Stewart is here. If the commission would like to hear from him further as well. And you have my recommendation, which is to deny the reconsideration. I'm glad to speak to that further if you need to. I'm not sure if I do. So anyway, other cases before the commission members.
So members of the commission, is there a request to hear from the witness?
Madam Chair, I believe so.
All right. So Mr. Stewart.
Well, since you're the respondent, we ask you to be sworn.
Sure.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, because you know the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you to members of the commission and appreciate your time. We've obviously been here for a little over an hour, and I certainly respect that the ultimate decision of whether cases go forward is yours and not the staff's. But I think in the last hour and 15 minutes, most of the staff recommendations have been upheld. Going backwards, we were here 2 years ago. I gave sworn testimony. We have an affidavit that I think everybody hopefully has had a chance to look at. I know we're not really here to talk about the merits. I can if you would wish, obviously, but the point I would like to make is that at the end of the staff's review of the initial complaint and hearing my sworn testimony and reviewing our affidavit, Mr. Richter recommended to find no violation in this case. Now, 2 years ago, we were kind of coming out of COVID. Everybody was remote.
I can't recall if everybody was in attendance, but there was also, we didn't have any process in place for there to be a full commission in the situation where a member needs to recuse themselves. And so at that time, Commission Member Kreitz recused himself. That left sort of a different vote total compared to what we now have the ability to do, where if a member recuses himself, we obviously have the mechanism to have a replacement, and so that respondents like myself can get the benefit of the full commission. Nothing in the 2 years since has changed. There's been no aha moment. The facts are what they were 2 years ago when Mr. Richter recommended that you find no violation. We have been ready to go to hear this case for 2 years. This was scheduled for May of last year to be in front of Mr. Hicks. He then sent an email that said, I declined to participate in a hearing. That's his right, but respectfully, we are now looking at the prospect of having a hearing maybe sometime in 2024, 2 years after the initial review, to talk about conduct that allegedly happened 2 years prior in 2020. So to the extent that we have some delay here, frankly, we believe that should be Mr. Hicks's burden, not the respondents. Again, I won't talk about the merits unless you want us to, but the evidence is the same. Friends of Brian Stewart never received any invoice, never received any demand for payment, had no knowledge that anything had been done that's not reported. This case is not like the Freeman case. I was endorsed by the party. The Ohio Republican Party has reported in-kind contributions. We have reported them on our reports. I can't make sense of the complainant's theory of this case. And so to be looking at in 2024, going forward with the hearing about conduct from 4 years ago, the commission's website says that the benefit of the commission is that we get a expedited proceeding. And I understand that you're dealing with a schedule based on, Mr. Hicks wanting to spend, 14 days with other respondents, and that's his right, I suppose. But we filed this motion to reconsider, number one, because we feel like we should get the benefit of having the full commission having an opportunity to rule on that, especially given the fact that Mr. Richter recommended initially to find no violation. And now that we are again 4 years after the date, 2 years after the initial preliminary review, it is respondent's position that this is a frivolous case that could be dealt with and spare all of us a lot of time by simply reconsidering that initial determination from 2 years ago in May of 2022, and go back and affirm your director's initial recommendation that there should be no violation. I'm happy to answer questions.
Of the respondents.
Questions to the director, Madam Chair.
Okay, no questions at this point. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Why has it taken so long to get to this point?
Because first thing that dealt with the Freeman case. And obviously you've been here through all the Schmidt case. I didn't believe it appropriate to try and schedule this matter at the same time we were dealing with the Schmidt case to cause potential confusion amongst the two cases as they tried to go forward. And so that's the basic reason why I held off scheduling this further, because I just didn't feel like it was appropriate for the commission to try and, get into determining this matter while those other matters were pending.
And I believe I was here for the preliminary review for this one. Your recommendation at that time was to find no violation.
My recommendation at that time was to find no violation, correct. And that would have been based on I guess what I would call the circumstances as I understood them to be at that time. But I believe that it certainly should be considered that the finding of the Freeman case and the Schmidt case as it relates to how and when notice was received as it relates to other billings could impact the understanding of this case. So, honestly, yes, that was my recommendation at that time. I don't know that I would make the same recommendation at this point. because the commission's consideration of those two cases kind of changed how you view when you need to acknowledge certain expenditures in your campaign finance report.
Other questions?
Yeah, how do you balance Mr. Stewart's comment about the compulsory commission with the action plan here?
I'm not sure exactly what
Talking about expedience.
I appreciate and understand those greatly. I hated that it's taken this long to get these cases moving forward. But considering the time that the commission has put into the previous cases and the number of hearings that it took to first resolve Freeman and then to resolve the Schmidt case, which, was resolved prior to your being appointed to the commission. But we started hearing that matter last June, I think it was, June of 2023. And we didn't get resolved until January because continue to have a certain amount of hearing and testimony here and so forth. I certainly would have preferred to see these matters resolved much more quickly. But the hearings, and in this case, probably more the Schmidt hearing than the Freeman hearing, although that impacted when those matters go forward. The Schmidt hearing just taking as long as it did impacted when we can take this matter up for consideration, in my opinion.
So on these matters, recommendation still to deny reconsideration. Yes. You just help us understand the rationale.
The commission at the time, when it had the information they had available to it, made the determination to set this matter for hearing under what it believed was the appropriate circumstances at that time. They disagreed with my recommendation at that point, which was to find a violation. And so I believe that it's appropriate for the commission to go forward and have the matter heard as it previously determined in the prior preliminary review considerations.
Other questions? Yes.
Was there anybody any of the concurrent commission members there you probably were?
I was.
Was there anybody else that was here at the time? I don't know, I guess.
I don't think we, I certainly know Mr. Felber, Mr. Corky, or Ms. Hagan, and Ms. Davis, and Mr.
And I wasn't, so.
Herschel.
I mean, I guess I do have some concern that. I mean, okay, yeah, we did have the two other ones, there was confusion. But our lack of efficiency to move things through shouldn't sort of at all completely mitigate that our goal is to have a speedy remediation. Especially, given that, well, I guess I won't go where I was gonna go. But I mean, I guess just in the future, maybe we should think about ways to improve that. I mean, it's been I've been on the commission for over 2 years and the preliminary review. I don't know what the basis of the recommendation. I can't relate to it. And I've been on the commission for over 2 years, right? So it just makes it challenging it makes the whole situation challenging.
I would just share as the chair and someone who has been a part of, that's the downside of us constantly changing commissioners. It's also, part of it stems from the complainant and respondents, lawyers, or when they're available to testify or to come in for a hearing. Mr. Richter does work with both the complainant and the respondent on scheduling hearings. And if one or the other, he tries to accommodate if they're not available for those hearings. So that also drags out our time with respect to how long it's going to take. The goal is to be expedient, but you're working with parties that may have other considerations that they have to take into account.
And I fully agree with that, but that shouldn't that should, in theory, negatively impact, in this case, Mr. Stewart, right? Who was just, his timing was based on all of that leading up to it being 2 years. It had nothing to do with anything that he did in terms of the timing. It's all of that. Whereas if it had not been right, it could have been much quicker.
Mr. Richter, you want to speak to that? Was it all because of the other two cases?
I'd say primarily, yes. Because again, I didn't feel like it was appropriate to try to put before the commission two parallel cases, which Mr. Hicks was bringing to the commission at the same time. Again, could it have been dealt differently? Yeah, I can't say it couldn't have, but I just felt that it was appropriate to deal with those matters, as they were filed, as they came before the commission. And that was the decision that I made.
I appreciate that.
It is what it is. I don't know that I can't say I'm either proud or further reflective on it. It's just kind of, to me, it just kind of is what it is.
Helpful explanation. So on the matter that's before us, if you could just help me understand, clarify the recommendation so we can move to a vote.
Which recommendation? To deny the reconsideration. Again, because I think at the time, when the matter was originally brought before the commission members at that time looked at the complaint, the response, and as Mr. Stewart indicated, filed a response in both matters. And the commission members took that took both under consideration, and based on the nature of the complaint, felt that it at least deserved a more full and complete hearing to be held at a later date. And so that was the determination of the commission at that time.
And so can I, Madam Chair?
Yes.
The director. So we still don't have a hearing date set.
No, I'm anticipating probably midsummer, because I've got a lot of dates set up already over the next few meetings. But I am hopeful of getting this started fairly quickly.
Questions? Your motions?
I'll make the motion to accept the recommendation and deny the reconsideration list.
Is there a second?
I'll say.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It has been approved by a vote of 7-0. And then the next case.
That's it.
Oh.
Those cases are consolidated.
Oh, consolidated.
Separate,
I'm sorry.
consolidated.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
When the commission determined finding in 2022 G015, it consolidated them at that point.
Thank you very much. So that, I believe, members, is the conclusion of today's agenda. We have our next meeting scheduled for April the 11th, 2024. Fair motion? It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved properly. Second, all in favor, say aye to adjourn. Aye. Thank you all very, very much. I didn't worry because you know everything.
Fine, and understood, no question about it.
It's good to see you again, Mr. Butler.
Yeah, I was counting on you today.